Good morning. I just come back from some breakfast. The girls are gone, so I slept very well. Last night I slept in Sunny's room. Shh, don't tell her. If she asks who been sleeping in my bed, I'm just going to say maybe a ghost. But I slept really good and up a few times just taking moon shots, but went right back to sleep. But I was thinking while I was eating my breakfast that a lot of people give you advice on how to eat and what to eat, but from gurus to everything, every spectrum of belief. But I don't think it really matters what you eat, but it's how you eat it. So those salted caramel banana pancakes I had for breakfast turn into health food when I eat it with a whole lot of gratitude. Man, those things were good. But anyway, I'm going to edit some pics I took and just see how they turn out. I may not post very many of them. Now I'm just doing it more for practice on learning this program. And then I'll try to get a little more creative with it. But I'll talk at you later. Bye. Good morning. I'm back at work after taking a little bit of a vacation. It was somewhat relaxing. Kind of uneventful, didn't do much, but also was sick just about every day of it, most of the time after I eat, and I'm not sure what was going on there, but it's all good. So I'll get back at it and ponder more of life's mysteries, but I'll let you go. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Hello. Waiting on the girls shopping. Not at work like I usually am when I'm doing this, but I've been sitting out here thinking while I'm playing on the phone and just pondering things about a higher self. And I know before you think, oh no, he's waxing hippie or new age-ish, I'm not. I'm just pondering the fact that we do have a little voice inside of us that knows better, that like right before we do something really stupid, it says, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure? And we'll call it our conscious, but it seems like it might be a higher self. They'll say, well, if he had the sense that God gave a goose, well, we do, but sometimes we're not connected to it. So probably the confusion that turns people off is in some kind of a hippie mentality. They'll refer to it or act like it's something separate from us, like some spook walked into our life and said, hey, I've got I just got contacted by my higher self, and they'll make it all weird. But I don't think it's that weird. I think that it is a higher self. I think it's just the part of us that knows better. For some reason, we just don't want to listen to it. But anyway, I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. I just come back from some breakfast. The girls are gone, so I slept very well. Last night I slept in Sunny's room. Shh, don't tell her. If she asks who been sleeping in my bed, I'm just going to say maybe a ghost. But I slept really good and up a few times just taking moon shots, but went right back to sleep. But I was thinking while I was eating my breakfast that a lot of people give you advice on how to eat and what to eat, but from gurus to everything, every spectrum of belief. But I don't think it really matters what you eat, but it's how you eat it. So those salted caramel banana pancakes I had for breakfast turn into health food when I eat it with a whole lot of gratitude. Man, those things were good. But anyway, I'm going to edit some pics I took and just see how they turn out. I may not post very many of them. Now I'm just doing it more for practice on learning this program. And then I'll try to get a little more creative with it. But I'll talk at you later. Bye. Good morning. I'm here really early. I have a few minutes before I clock in, but I'm feeling pretty good today. The last couple of days, actually. The girls have been kind of gone, and I've been home alone, and that seems to help. Um, Also, the last few weeks, because it's just been really hard, also been a high pollen count. So I'm not sure that the allergies don't trigger something that triggers inflammation in the brain that doesn't make things worse. And I'm not much on like taking allergy medication, but I will research maybe alternative holistic ways. I hear local honey is good for allergies. I might try something like that to see if it doesn't calm stuff down. But I'm feeling good and I'm grateful. But I was thinking about the subconscious actions that some people have, and I ponder the idea of it being a negative. And when I say negative, I don't mean like in bad negative, more like the opposite of what they portray as far as the real thing that they're struggling with, if I can, for lack of better words. For example, somebody who's really, really arrogant, and their confidence goes to the point of just being cocky and maybe even putting people down around them, might be just a mere opposite of the insecurities that they actually have, even if they're not aware of it. So thinking about that, I'm thinking about reactions that I have, because especially journaling, I've become like brutally honest about certain aspects of my life, trying to look at myself, trying to better me. So I'll think about that, see if there's some validity to that. But anyway, you guys have a great day, and I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. About 2.5 hours into my day and doing pretty good. I have moments here and there that are a little ticky. It's always irritating and it tries to bring you down, but I try to just ignore it, kind of like a kid tugging on your pants leg. They won't let you talk or have an adult conversation with someone else. You just kind of ignore it and keep on going, which for me, it's almost a miracle if I can. But in continuation of the subconscious being maybe an opposite of what is reality as far as someone's personality, like the real arrogant, cocky person is really maybe insecure due to probably past events that have hurt them in some kind of way. And a third party really is not going to help that kind of individual. That takes a self-discovery led by the Holy Spirit. You can't even tell everybody just like, hey, you need to find yourself. It just doesn't work. But if you're led by the Holy Spirit and you get off in a quiet spot and just ponder yourself, kind of like look in a mirror, then those kind of things will be revealed. But if somebody sees somebody who's maybe has a victim mentality and says, hey, you know what your problem is? You've got a victim mentality. You just play the victim all the time, and all of a sudden you are on the attack and he becomes the victim. It just reinforces it. That's absolutely no good whatsoever. But that's my thought. And in the same sense, that's probably just a distraction to keep the one attacking them from looking at themselves. But anyway, I'll let you go. Bye. Good morning. Been here just a little bit and been cleaning, but I got stuck pondering on an unpleasant moment that was irritating me a little bit, and I caught myself just kind of standing, just staring off, reliving this moment over and over, and I thought, boy, that is so weird. Why would I do that? It's just, it was a disagreement on something that happened yesterday, and that don't mean that person was wrong. It just means I completely and utterly disagreed with them. But I was reliving it in different aspects, going over different ways I could prove my point, and then realized Wait, that moment's past. That's gone. There's a moment right here and right now that I'm missing because I'm pondering a moment that happened before. Each moment's passing, even as I'm talking. So I'm like, I need to enjoy the moment right now. And then when I do that, I feel a little bit of a breeze across my cheek. I just breathe heavier. I focus on the moment. And right now the moon's out and it's a full moon and it's really pretty. And I take some pictures of the moon here and there. So I'm going to go outside and I'm going to enjoy the moment of this nice, cool, fresh air. Ooh, it's chilly. And enjoy this moon. But I'll blab at you later. Enjoy the moment. Don't worry about those moments that's already passed. They're gone. They didn't exist. Bye. Good morning. Been here about an hour and a half, and I was just taking a break thinking about that moonrise I took yesterday evening as the moon was coming up, and I was snapping a shot, and I didn't see that tree that I caught. I was focused on the moon, and the only way I knew something was kind of strange is I was just seeing like an artifact. I thought, well, boy, I've never seen that there before. That's a little strange. And I just barely focused back and caught that tree and thought, wow, that is cool. Snapped the shot, and it's probably one of my favorite moonvics. But while I'm just looking at that, I'm thinking, I was focused on the moon, and when I refocused on that tree, it's like, wow, I found something really beautiful there in the moment. And sometimes we just need to refocus. We're focused on something. I did that in the picture and got a nice pic. But if you do that in life, boy, you might find a beautiful moment. You just need to refocus. Anyway, if you haven't seen it, it's the Visit My Wall. It's the one below this video. But I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. Been here a little bit cleaning some stuff, but I was just thinking about something I watched and wanted to share it. And it was on Vincent van Gogh, the Impressionist artist. They kind of done like a little life synopsis and talked about his death and what was they said happened and what they think really happened. Very interesting. He was a man with definitely some mental health issues that seemed to be exacerbated by alcohol use, and he knew it. He had wrote in a journal, that he had struggled with the mental health issues, that these things that he couldn't control, and he wondered about them. So it's not like he was oblivious, but a lot of times that kind of thing can be reined in when you're sober, but when you're not sober and you're drinking, you have less of a control over it, so it becomes more of an issue. And he went to live with his brother, which was really the star of the show. And his brother wrote that, Vincent made life miserable for those around him and himself. But all the time he displayed unbelievable compassion for the man. I mean, it was his brother, it was family, but that don't seem to weigh much on some people. It was just kind of really inspiring. The last few years of his life seemed to be pretty good. They moved him from Paris into like the countryside where he was go out in the fields and paint, and he had got off alcohol and was doing pretty good, and then he was walking on his way home holding his stomach. Somebody watched him walk past, went up to his room, laid on the bed, and a few days later he was dead from a gunshot wound. But when they asked him what happened, he said it was done himself. He had hurt himself, is how he put it. But this story kind of made it sound like that was not probably what happened, just because of all the evidence. And then some college students done some ballistic tests, and they found a gun that matched, that gun, and used actually that in these tests, and come to the conclusion that it was a homicide. They did mention at the time there was rumors going around that some kids shot him by accident playing with a gun, and then he was of the personality, he didn't want to get the kids in trouble, so he said, no, I did it. And if that's the case, that's interesting too. So he ended up wanting the bullet removed, but the doc just wouldn't move him. I don't know if he thought it would be too hard on him, but the guy was dying anyway. They probably should have if he wanted surgery done. They said that would have been about a 20-minute journey to get that done, and he probably would have lived. But the doc wouldn't do it. He died in his brother's arms, which was his only friend, and showed compassion that was real honorable. And then my thoughts were, I just hope everybody with that kind of mentality, I mean, we all need somebody that compassionate in our life because we have the ability. But if these people with a little bit of a mental health issues, there's beyond their control, they can't help it, would have somebody in their life as compassionate as his brother was, and I don't even know his name. We never hardly talk about him. He should be, synonymous with his brother, but we don't. Died in his arms. Amazing. Anyway, I'll blab at you later because I went on way too long. Bye. Good morning or almost afternoon. I don't know what it is. I don't even know what time it is. But that's okay. So I'm taking a little break from cleaning. I've been kind of a little ticky off and on. Some pretty rough moments. But that's the thing about moments. They're just a moment. They're here and then they're gone. And if I can remember to look at everything around me like a child, just look at everything just with that wonder and realize how beautiful everything is around me. I mean, the moon, it's right about there right now. So if I was home, I'd be snapping a picture of a day moon, but it's crescent. It would just be a little sliver of white. But one of these days, I'm going to get an alien craft coming off the moon. But I'll show you when I do. But anyway, I'm just taking a break. And sometimes just blabbing a little bit in a video kind of helps me. Even if nobody listens to it, it doesn't really matter. It rests my brain a little bit. So I'll take a break and I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. Just about time to clock in, but not quite. So I'll blab at you a little bit. You guys know I love to dream and to write dreams, but that wasn't always the case. Because when I was little, I suffered from nightmares. I mean, really bad. And the first one I actually remember, we lived in Columbus, Ohio. And I couldn't have been but maybe 4 or 5 because I was old enough to jump out of bed and run and sleep with mom and dad. But I was strapped down and I was being tortured and they were sticking needles in my eyes. And I remember it vividly. And that kind of stuff, I don't even know where somebody that young would get it because, Dad was a minister. We didn't watch stuff that made you dream like that. It just happened. Some would say, it's like, oh, that's a sign that reincarnation, if somebody believes like that, you were tortured in another life. And who knows? Some of the children's stories that you get about that are somewhat interesting and compelling. But that's, just up to somebody to interpret the evidence. Um, but I had those dreams like that up until we moved to Solitude, and then I was having another nightmare, probably this time about 8 or 9. But in my dream, whatever was chasing me, I was able to kind of like do a lucid dream. I was like, I knew I was dreaming at some point, and I just turned invisible. And I thought, I'm going to turn invisible and just wait this out until the dream's over. Because that point, I just knew I was dreaming. So I turned invisible, climbed up in a tree, and watched whatever was chasing me just run around and couldn't find me. And I felt safe because nothing could get me. And after that, I never had another nightmare as far as that bothered me. Anything else was just entertainment. It was just a dream and it was just an experience. It never bothered me. But up till then, I was terrified. But I just thought that was kind of an interesting turn of events, especially for something that bothered me so much to turn into something that doesn't. And now I just write them all down. But anyway, I'm going to get to work and I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. I'm at work way early. This is my week to be off on Friday, so I'll clock in at 4 and work as long as I can. But I'm tired. I hadn't felt good. I went home early Friday and been kind of like that the whole weekend. I'd worked retail for the longest time, and then due to the symptoms of Tourette's, ended up coming to the warehouse. And I'd say up till now, I've really liked what I did. I don't mind it at all. Something different, and I'll go from cleaning to doing CPAP to doing inventory and a lot of different stuff. It kind of keeps me occupied. I say up till now. And the feeling I have now is just, I absolutely hate being here. But to be fair, it might be a misinterpretation of the fact that I'm not feeling good. So I'll keep that in mind and put on the best smile that I have and just keep going, knowing that this too will pass. And then maybe I get feeling better, and then that'll kind of change the way I feel. I've never been one to think you can actually help what you feel, but you can demonstrate other actions regardless. You don't have to be moved by what you feel. So I'll get on with it, but I'll talk to you later. Bye. Good morning. Been here about an hour and a half. Been cleaning, but while I'm cleaning, sometimes my mind will run away with me, and I'll get pretty ticky and get really loud. And then at one point, I'll just stop what I'm doing, look up, like, really, come on, give me a break. And then I'll breathe. And the only thing that seems to help really well is if I practice sort of in the moment type mentality. In other words, I stop and I'll think, okay, this is now. Whatever I was thinking or whatever caused that was future or that was past. But I feel what's in my hand and acknowledge it. I'll see what's in my range of sight and acknowledge what I'm looking at. I'll listen and I'll hear concentrators thump, different things going on, and acknowledge it. And then when I practice the moment, and then even go deeper than that to how I'm feeling at the time, then everything just kind of goes back to somewhat normal. I don't think I've ever been totally normal, or at least that's what I've been told. But anyway, that's what I've got to do to kind of relieve the symptoms. But I'm going to get back to work, and I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. Feeling a lot better today. So maybe if it was a bug, I'm getting over it. Um, I don't know how the pollen count is. You wouldn't think it'd be high this time of year, but I'm seeing it, as it comes up, say we're having some high pollen days. So that may be contributing to some of my symptoms. But I was going to just mention how I guard my site and what I look at, because it definitely affects me. I get on Facebook, not a whole lot. I like to post my pictures. If I'm doing a piece of art or music or just these videos, I'll get on there and post them and then check to see if anybody, appreciates something that I do, and it just makes me feel good. But a lot of times I'll just scroll down briefly, and if I see an image that is for like shock factor or just really, I exit out. It's the same way with YouTube. Most of my YouTube is tailored for me because I do a lot of editing on the YouTube. Like when I see a video, if somebody has a tendency, even if it's like history or something that I actually like to watch, but they want to put what they call clickbait of something that is just really bizarre and it gives me a bad feeling. Even if I'm interested in the title, I'll go to options and I will put not interested. Don't show me this again. And sometimes they may be a channel that's fairly decent and might be informative, but I just don't like the feeling that some of this stuff gives you. And this today was the same way that kind of prompted this. I'm just running down the wall a little bit on Facebook, and it was a friend that posted something, and I don't know if it was some kind of sporting event or what it was, just a few seconds, but let's put it this way. I don't have a high opinion of the human race as it is, and it just lowered it. So I just immediately X that out, which I kind of hate to do that on a friend because I am interested in what people post, and from time to time I'll go down my friends list and visit every page just to kind of see what people are doing, like what they do. If it's not just something that's just full of memes or something. But yeah, I gotta guard what I see just to protect my sanity. But I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. I done a video before I started work, and I've been here a couple of hours, and decided I'm gonna do another one because I'm feeling pretty good. And I know that I've made videos before on 3 things that changed me, and here comes a 4th, and here comes a 5th, and just different things. I thought, okay, there may be a 7th, which is probably about coming up, if not just happened. And I'd mentioned a little bit of protecting what I see. If something gives me if I'm taking in something that gives me a bad feeling, it's like, I don't know, I immediately get rid of it. I don't want to see it. And I spent a little time going over not just in the aspects of, like a carnal things that you don't really, it's probably not good to see anyway. But there's some that was just self-righteous stance that conducive to like absolutely no empathy whatsoever on situations that people are in, kind of almost like blaming them for it. And in a case, I guess if you're going to be hard about it, yeah, maybe most people probably get in trouble because of themselves. But man, that's cold, man. God is love, and with all my heart, I want to work in love. And I know I'm not real good at it, but I sure try. And I hope I get better, and maybe I'll be better tomorrow than I am today, and then the day after that better than the next day. To say something, to not be compassionate about somebody's improvement, just, saying, well, you could do better, that's what Grandpa did to Dad's first message he ever preached when he was 16. And Grandpa went to him, and Dad asked how he could do, and he said, well, you could have done better. Now, what kind of statement was that to Dad? I mean, that probably hurt him as a 16-year-old, hearing that from his dad. Yeah, not cool, man. Anyway, I'm going to get back to work and just keep pondering that. But ever since then, just a sense of freedom has come. I just almost felt it surround me, and I'm going to bask in that for a while. Thank you, guys. Have a good day. Bye. Good morning. It's Saturday morning, and I'm doing pretty good. Girls are still asleep, so I ran to Hardee's to get a little breakfast. That's what they say old people do, but oh well. But I don't feel too bad. Occasionally a little ticky, but when I'm a ticky at home, it don't seem to bother me as much because I'm in more of a comfortable atmosphere. Sometimes the girls will laugh at me, and I don't mind that, just because it is kind of so bizarre, kind of out of the blue, some of the stuff that comes out. But I haven't taken any like sketch requests in a long time, and I have a hard time saying no. And when I finally do say no, I feel guilty, and I actually lose sleep over it. And I just recently got one, and it was that case. I didn't say no, but I should have, because there's just a stress in it that there wasn't before. And I don't feel good with my brain, especially with the inflammation and the stuff that goes on. The added stress makes things worse. And so I'm just kind of putting that out there. I don't know if they'll see this or not, but sometimes you just got to take care of yourself. And if they're offended, I am deeply sorry, and probably should just message them straight out. But sometimes these videos work as a stress reliever somewhat. So I'm going to play around a little bit. I've been shooting a lot of different pictures with my camera and just trying different things, just experimenting so I can kind of see what everything does. I'm still really new at it, so sometimes I have wins and sometimes I have loses. But it's a process, a journey that I experience and gain knowledge. But I'll talk at you later. Bye. Good morning. I'm at work and breathing a little heavy today, but I'm not sure what's up with that. But I brought my moon pick in, the canvas one that I showed y'all, and everybody here seems to really like it, so I'm excited about that. So I'm going to show them. Boy, that's just crazy. I haven't done that much. Been putting up with some stock, but not to the point that I should be doing that. But I guess it is what it is. But I just can't. Next full moon will be the day after Christmas, so I'll do some more pics like that. Man, I'm getting dizzy. Anyway, I'll let you go, and I'll talk at you later. Bye. Good morning. I'll clock in a few minutes and get ready. Always got some stuff to do. But I was thinking about teachers this morning, and how some people, we have a gentleman here that was really cool, and he was telling me about an incident. He was out and saw an old man struggling with something maybe in his garage, and your first instincts was to kind of let him do his thing and walk away, but he said he looked like he needed some help, so I just asked if I could help him. So I thought, boy, that's cool. That's neat. And I want to think about that and see if there's situations I can learn from it and do the same thing. And then there's also teachers that live by like the opposite example. Like they will do something that immediately you'll like, oh man, that's not cool. And you might even want to judge them and say, okay, that's, they're this, this, and this because they've done that, that, and that. And, but in reality, they're just a teacher, just like the other one, just teaching you what not to do. And one thing that has happened is the casual, hey, how you doing? And when I turn around to walk, I'm addressing the back of their head as they leave. And I'm thinking, does that person really care how I'm doing? Because they asked me a question and kept walking and never was around for any kind of response. Well, it would be easy to judge that person, but in reality, they're teaching me what I don't want to do. So the next time I get a chance to see somebody and ask them how they're doing, I'm going to look them in the face and stop what I'm doing and say, hey, how are you doing? And present myself in a manner that if they tell me I'm not doing so hot, that it's not an offense to me whatsoever, I'll listen to them. They can tell me how they're doing, good or bad. And maybe if they get that off their chest, just like me making these videos, they'll walk away feeling better. But that's just what I think. But I'll blab at you later and hope you have a good day. Bye. Good morning. Here a little early doing some returns for ResMed. They kind of got complicated on the process, so I come in early where there's no distractions. It makes my brain run a little smoother, and I can figure out what exactly they're wanting me to do with these broken machines. But I was thinking about how I've changed. In the past I could wax a little sarcastic as humor. You find some kind of intelligence in a sarcastic remark, but I don't do that anymore. It doesn't feel right to me. I don't mind if somebody kind of does that for humor, and I can see the humor in it. But for me to do it, it feels like I am putting somebody else down while building myself up. And I just refrain from it. But I refrain from anything that kind of gives me a half inkling of a feeling that I don't like. It's just not conducive to my health in general. So yeah, there's that. I'll get back to it, and I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. I'm back here cleaning, but a lot of stuff was running through my mind, so I just wanted to get it off there and see if I could separate some of it out, because I had like 4 or 5 different things running through it all simultaneous, trying to decipher it, and it was giving me problems. It's like listening to 15 radio stations all at once and expecting to get anything out of it. I don't. But I was thinking of the power of emotion in itself. Anytime that I've ever had a miracle, and I've had them, they were tied to like real strong emotional states that I was in at the time. And it's almost like you're right at the brink and you just, know you're going to give up, and then you get your miracle. Now, I'm not sure why that happens, and I don't know if that happens to everybody or if that's just me. That's just my experience on what I see. Now, do I think it has to be like that? No, it's just, I think it's hard to work in an atmosphere that is more conducive to a miracle in more of a relaxed state. You can probably tie positive like love and compassion to a situation and get just as strong, if not better, miracles. But sometimes just taking stuff for granted, it's hard to get into that state. And sometimes even in gratitude, because I practice that, and that's my major mode of praise. I have to watch just to make sure that that's not just too automatic. I'm just thinking, oh man, I feel good. Thank you, Lord. But it's like, okay, no, wait, let's just stop because that went too fast. I don't want that to be an automatic response. I really feel good. And I think, okay, yeah, I do. And I'm tying emotion into that. Um, there's power in that. There's power in emotion. Uh, Words that we convey this, all the words that I say, are really only an illustration of that emotion, you know? So the more I think about that, the more I ponder, just the miracles and the things that are good. And let me tell you kind of how my body handles pain. And that's another thing that sometimes I get emotional and grateful, and gratitude for. The other day I was sitting somewhere doing something, which very seldom I said at work, but I was having to do something, and I get up, and my right knee, I believe it was, just gave out, and it just hurt so bad. It's like, oh, I couldn't walk. I limped, and even a limp was hurting too bad. And I thought, well, what did I do? And it was just a matter of seconds. Not even, I don't even think it was a full minute of, just hobbling, that it's almost like my body says, oh, wait, he's got pain here. We'll take care of it. Pow. And it's just gone. None whatsoever. And I'm grateful for that because that happens a lot to me. I was thinking this morning that my back hurt a little bit, but that lasted seconds. Literally. It's like, okay, it's done. And just to say thank you and I'm grateful sometimes doesn't seem enough. It's almost like you want to get emotional about it. Boy, thank you, Lord. Oh, I feel good. Merry Christmas. Good morning. We'll try for take 4 or 5, however many it's been, because I get distracted and pause, and I don't really like that. But anyway, I clock in a few minutes here doing some stuff that I want to get done before anybody gets here, just to keep the distractions down. It's a little better on my head. This fellow over here in this section I'm just passing, he likes to keep the radio on way too loud, and that drives me absolutely nuts. So I'm thinking about figuring a way to go over there and cut that cord. But I guess I'll just chill out for now. But on the way here, I was thinking about adventure and how when you're a kid, you always want to have that adventure like they do on the movies, where you're running through the temple and you're looking for treasure and just something new around any corner. And the way society is, we feel like that's just not something we can do. We're kind of locked into the American dream with a house that we're kind of stuck to. And, it kind of keeps us from the adventuring. A lot of times we'll say, boy, if we could just live off the land like they used to, that in itself would be an adventure. And it would be kind of cool. But since I've been on this self journey, and this happened about 15 years ago, I've just realized that in itself is quite the adventure. Every time you're turning around, you're learning something new about yourself and human nature in itself. And if you're not careful, sometimes you feel like you're going backwards. But it's just an illusion, because you just are now enlightened to the fact that there's a whole lot more that you don't know than you do know. It's not that you're getting dumber, it's just that you turn the corner and now you've got such a large landscape that you are in awe about, and you're thinking, wow, I didn't know this existed. And that's kind of the way I feel a lot of times. And I kind of struggle. Even this morning, I had to watch it because I started reliving a event that happened a few years ago with a con artist, and I don't know why I just have those flashbacks, and it drives me nuts. And then I tell myself, it had to have probably ended the way it was supposed to end. He got what he wanted. If I would have fantasized about doing something different, then I could have even got myself in trouble. Or if he didn't get what he wanted, he could have come back. He knows where I live, and do something that's even worse than what he did before. So, struggling with the human nature, and that it's kind of hard to imagine that all that is just it's just teachers teaching you lessons. You know, I can't reasonably hate the guy, although it feels like it at sometimes, especially when I'm having these flashbacks. But it's really not the thing to do. I know better. But boy, the adventure of human nature and the connection between our flesh and our spirit, well, that's the adventure. But anyway, I'll blab at you. I did bring up my camera, so I might see what kind of pics I can get through the day and share them with you. But y'all have a good day. Bye. Good morning. I've been here a little bit, and I've got a couple of sleep locations done already. I got one more to do. I should have done them yesterday, but they were late about sending them in, and I'd come in early anyway. The sun's coming up, so I like to look at the sunrise. Kind of reminds me that I'm still alive. Well, for now. Anyway, something crazy happened to me on the way to work, and I was going to share it to you because it's the first time that ever happened. But I'm leaving the house, and I'm really ticky, but that's not unusual, especially with me behind the wheel of a car. But it is just to the point of like, oh man, if this don't let up, I might just turn around and go home. And before I got to the end of the block, that's about all I remember. And the next thing you know, I'm here putting CPAP stuff together and thinking, well, what just happened? And I'm trying to think about, retrace my steps, because it was just like, I guess I went in automatic mode and forgot how bad I was, or that just went away or something. I don't know. I vaguely remember maybe going through McDonald's drive-thru for breakfast. And then I'm here. I've got two of the sleep orders done. I guess that ain't all bad, but it's just kind of strange. But I know, it's crazy, right? It might be a superpower. But anyway, on top of that, I was also thinking while I was doing here, just, you know, running across all the people that I meet, and sometimes I have a tendency to judge unfairly. Like somebody will hand me a note and it'll look like maybe a kindergartner writer, and I'm like, you know, I first want to judge them on their handwriting, but then I stop and I think, you know, that has absolutely nothing to do with their spirit. Matter of fact, nothing in the flesh really does, as far as I can tell. I mean, there might be some correlation, but I don't know what it is. I've studied it and I've thought about it, pondered it, but when you judge somebody in the flesh, you're judging the temporary part of them. You're not judging the immortal part of them. I'm not for sure that that's fair. But anyway, I'll get back to work because I still have one more to do. But I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. First day back at 2024. And just took care of some sleep stuff. My New Year's resolution is not to have Tourette's this year. Starting now. Now. But anyway, I was thinking while I was getting this stuff together that I have to really watch myself, you know, to try to keep the right spirit kind of towards somebody that maybe something happens that I deem simple, but to somebody else is really complicated. And it starts to get on my nerves, but I have to breathe and correct myself. And I know we're all kind of control freaks, but there's a lot of stuff that we have absolutely no control over. And I start thinking about that, and I think, you know, there's no room for pride for someone who's above average intelligence. They have nothing to do with that. Maybe instead you replace pride with humble gratitude. And in the same sense, there's no reason to be ashamed for someone who's a little bit on the simple side. They had nothing to do with that. And if I keep that in mind, then I'm thinking, you've got to treat everybody the same, just for the fact that nobody controls anything about them. They may think they have, or a musician that's really hot says, well, I got it because I practice a lot. Well, okay, maybe, but something give you the push and the drive and that to perfect your talent. And that is totally not anything you can do on your own. Again, replace pride with humble gratitude. So I'll just breathe and keep doing that. And you can tell as I'm talking, I'm getting out of breath, which that's happened before. So this last strand of the ugliness has kind of got me winded a little bit, but that's okay. I'll just keep on going, and I'll try to meditate on good stuff. I don't try to correct anybody else when I'm constantly correcting myself every day. But, well, anyway, you guys have a good day, and I'll talk at you later. Bye. Good morning. I've won tests and I've lost tests both today. I won one just because I'm here. I felt pretty rough when I got up this morning, but it's like almost a practice in ignoring that kind of stuff and just focusing on the really cool stuff. So I'm getting up, go to the kitchen, make me a little coffee, and look out the window and see that moon. I thought, wow, that's cool. Then maybe that'll make me feel better. I just snapped some shots just to make me feel better. I really wasn't intending to post it, but in that moon, I saw a heart. And I thought, well, that's a sign. That's cool. And as the morning progressed, but this time it was like probably midnight is when I got up. Yeah, I keep weird hours too. And then I go into my little room where I got my game and computer and my microphone and everything set up to play. And I just started looking over the karaoke stuff and done the one that I did this morning, which was way out of my comfort zone. And I was making it into a little video, and in the back of my mind, I heard my best friend say, "Vern, what are you doing?" And so I thought, okay, that's going to be funny. So yeah, you can laugh if you want, but it was like way out of my comfort zone. And then I get here feeling pretty good, thinking about breakfast or whatever, and I come in and stuff had came in, but it wasn't kind of where I appreciate it being. So I spent the morning putting it in the dirty room, probably not in a healthy mental way. I'm going to say it was a little bit, okay, it was a little bit violent. I'm sorry. I'm just not perfect, and that just gets on my nerves. So it's like I win some and I lose some, but that's okay because I'm learning, and it's like, okay, I'm going to get better. I'm going to figure this out. It's like, they can do whatever they want. I'll put it where I want it and not take it personal. Because sometimes I think some of that stuff, I'm taking it personal, like, it's a shot. And I'm sure it's not. It's more probably laziness, if I have to say. But anyway, I'm going to clock in, and I think for now I'm going to start on my CPAP returns. That way I don't have to look at that stuff back there. Hey, you have a good day. Bye. Good morning. I know it's the second video I've done this morning, but it's kind of been a rough day. And I was just going to try to do this, sit out here, take a break, and give my mind some relief. But I had a work colleague one time tell me, so when she studied Tourette's, when she knew I had Tourette's, said, I see those videos and some of those people just seem so angry. And I try to smile and I'll tell jokes or whatever, but I understand that. I told her it's a chemical thing. And I have it too. But I just understand sort of what's going on, so I'll laugh and I'll make jokes about it and do different things. But in the same sense, sometimes I'll be gritting my teeth, just wanting to stick a knife between somebody's ribs and twist it. I mean, it's just for no apparent reason. It's just that chemical. I don't know if it's like an adrenaline thing, but it's just miserable, and it's going on now. I mean, I tell jokes in order not to turn tables over. Um, yeah, so there's that. But I'll see how this day goes, and I'll blab at you later. Maybe I'll get some relief, or it'll die down. Whatever's kind of instigated that. But I'll be fine. Bye. Good morning. Feeling a little better today. I'll tell you what I did that I think that made yesterday a little rougher than it should have been, because I'm always trying to figure out what causes things like that and see if I can prevent it. But typically my sleep pattern is I sleep like, just a few hours and get up and do something, and then go back to bed, sleep a few more hours, and then get up for the rest of the night or morning, whatever. But not last night, but the night before last, since I had that rough day yesterday, I slept a couple hours and it was just irritating to me. It's like, I want to sleep through the night. So I'm like, I want to lay there, for get my 8 hours in, and I will go back to sleep. That's what I'm thinking. So I just lay there and it just get miserable. And, I do sleep a little bit because I have some crazy dreams here and there, but for the most part, I'm not, and I'm just making myself miserable and doing it. So after 8 hours, I just get up and do my thing and go about it. But it just was not what I should have done. Yeah, lesson learned. This morning, I sleep 2 or 3 hours, get up, and kind of do my thing, and then after maybe a couple hours, go back to bed and get that much more. So I get enough sleep. It's just in a couple of shifts. Sometimes on the weekend, it's about 3 shifts. But, I feel better. So it's like, okay, I'm learning through all this. But I had a few things on my mind. Well, probably about 5 things on my mind. But I don't want to drag out a video to like, a 30-minute deal here. So one that was standing out, I hear a lot of people say that not everybody's real, that some of them are NPCs like in a video game, and usually it's the ones that kind of lean towards the simulation theory, and I can dig that in some kind of a metaphorical deal. This is a simulation just to learn, but I don't really believe we're in a giant computer under God's desk. But hey, what can you say? But anyway, in thinking about that, then I'm thinking, okay, well then if we are, and I always point back to me, like right now I'm looking at the camera, but I'm looking at my face because it's pointed back at me. And that's kind of how I do life. I just kind of go through life looking at myself in a mirror, saying, okay, if I'm an NPC, I'm the one not real. What am I when I'm not? If you're a computer game, once you get away from anybody you're interacting, you're just non-existent. You just are black. You don't exist. Well, I seem to exist outside of an observer. Although I'm making a video, so somebody's observing this, and the phone itself, I guess if you're going to be an argument, is an observer. So there you have that. The big question is, who are you when nobody's around? Now that might have a better meaning than trying to figure all this, people don't exist. I understand, I always feel that way sometimes when I see them, but it's a confusion of that they don't exist. It's just that they're working in some kind of a subconscious mode, and they're not really thinking about their actions. So it's almost like it's not that they don't exist, it's more like they're asleep and they ain't awake. So I'm thinking, okay, who am I when nobody's around? Maybe that's who I really am. I'm going to think about that, and I'll get back with you, because I've hit the 4-minute mark, and that's way too long. But I'll talk at you later. Bye. Good morning. I know it hasn't been that long since I made a video, but I wanted to continue that thought on who we are might be who we are when nobody's around. It was an interesting thought, and you have some fun. If you're an NPC in a game and nobody's around, you're just code waiting for someone else to pop in so you can pop in and interact with them. And Paul said, I am everything to everybody. And I can kind of relate to that, because that makes being around people a little more tolerable. If somebody's really into sports, then like, okay, we'll kind of go that direction. Of course, I'd rather watch the bumper of my van rust off than to watch televised sports. But hey, makes things a little easier. But you have to think, maybe you are, the real you is who you are when nobody's around. And I guess certain personality types might get that a little more probed into it, like if you're an introvert versus an extrovert. You do a little more self-reflecting and can kind of comprehend that, but they're probably a certain group and type of people that never experience truly what it's like to not be around somebody. Even if you're alone and you're occupied with a television or something else, you're not truly alone. You're occupied. If that makes sense, if you understand what I'm trying to get at. Hope I don't get too confusing. But I'm going to think about it more, because I like that thought. I like where that's going. I'm just going to have to cultivate it a little bit to smooth it out, to make any conversation a little more interesting. Anyway, I'll talk at you later. Bye. Just taking a little break, enjoying this beautiful day, nice blue skies, some white clouds out. I think the moon's still up somewhere, but I haven't found it, probably hiding behind a cloud. But I was thinking about, what I was talking of, knowing your true self when you're alone, and you kind of go that way. And then I kind of come across the persona, which is kind of a personality somebody puts up to somebody else when they want to be portrayed a certain way that maybe they aren't actually, but put up a persona. And I don't know if that's a weird thing. I don't know if that's kind of instinctive of the human race, everybody. I mean, I don't feel like I put up a persona, but who knows? I may be fooling myself. It's kind of odd. You see it a lot in like salesmen, marketers, and that kind of stuff, because they're trying to get something from you. But there's certain personalities that just put it up all the time. And I wouldn't think when you're alone that you would continue that persona. You would then be kind of real, I think, unless you're trying to fool yourself. Now, that's a possibility that I hadn't thought of. Maybe some lifestyles, they may keep the persona going to fool themselves, into, that they're all right, but they're not all right. I hadn't thought of that. That might be interesting in itself. Anyway, I'm going to enjoy my break, and I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. Here I am already at work, and as you can see behind me, I'm home. I'd left kind of fighting that feeling of like, hey, you should not go, but I'm stubborn, so I just kept going and going and going, and get to work, get me a slow breakfast, and I popped a button on my shirt and changed it and realized I left my key card on the other shirt. So I was locked out, So I come home and I message him, say, I'm heading back home. I'm just about done. I'm not sure I'm going to come back unless you insist. I haven't heard back, so I may just go back and assume that a lack of a response is an insist. But I don't know. It's like one of those things you get that feeling like you shouldn't do something. Kind of like a few weeks ago when I took a vacation that was kind of not scheduled, just due to what I go through. And it's one I needed, but I was so stubborn. It just had to keep building until it happened. And unfortunately, I scared one of the girls there, and she won't talk to me. And I really hate that because I hate to scare anyone. I think there's a couple of them there, not another one that does, but I'm not worried about her because she was not involved in it, and she's just doing it to be mean. There's nothing there, but the other one's just got some anxiety, and I'm truly sorry about that. I hate that I scared the girl. I know I'm kind of scared myself sometimes, but I guess it is what it is. So I'll be a little late, but I guess I'll have to head back over there. Maybe, but I'll talk at you later. Bye. Good morning. Left my phone at home yesterday. Didn't realize it till I went to make a video, and then I reached in my pocket and didn't have it. At first it was kind of irritating, but then I kind of reveled in the freedom that I had and remembered that I had never carried a phone when I was a kid. We didn't even have caller ID. We answered all the calls. Imagine that. It's a different time we live in, though. But at lunch, instead of playing on my phone, I wrote, let me see, bunch of stuff. Anyway, I'll read that to you. Feeling a little better at this very moment. Flashbacks here and there, but I come to my senses quickly and nip them in the bud. Finding the true individual is interesting, and when it's applied to myself, it's quite a challenge. I hear it said that of the importance of being authentic is the key factor in spiritual enlightenment. I'm not really sure what that means, combining positive aspects and negative traits into a complete being of some kind. I do get it. At the same time, keeping the dark side under control seems important as well. I mean, you have to have some discipline, right? I guess if it's acknowledgement of the dark side, then it's fine. We all have that, right? Or is it just me? I know there might be comfort in grouping everyone in the same basket, especially if it makes you feel better about yourself. But I find comfort in the thought that everyone's not a hot mess and some actually have it together. Anyway, lunch break's about over and I haven't finished eating. I just felt like writing. So that's where I went there. But there was a fellow I kind of find interesting named Carl Jung, a psychologist that has a little different aspects of things. He worked a little bit with Sigmund Freud, but then they parted for disagreements, which I kind of understand that. Freud is, in the immortal words of Barney Fife, he's a nut. But the other dude I kind of like. He's got some kind of different alternative thoughts going, and I can dig that. Don't mean that I necessarily believe it, but I dig it, man. But I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. Here a little early, so I figured I'd blab at you. This has been a pretty good week. I felt pretty good so far, a lot better. Last week was pretty rough, but I'm not totally sure the difference. But I know last night I was kind of sore, so worked on my back, and I kind of make it. But fortunately, once I get settled in, I don't have like static pain, so I'm not miserable all night. It's just getting from point A to point B um, sometimes can be painful. Um, but then I had some dreams, and when I do, the difference in the morning when I wake up, if I've had a dream, is night and day. If I haven't, which usually means I've kind of didn't sleep very well, I get up and I hobble to the bathroom kind of like I'm 100 and maybe need a walker. But if I've dreamt that night and remember it, um, when I spring out of bed, uh, like I did when I was a kid, and that's kind of crazy, right? Last night's dream, to the gist of it, was um, I was with a bunch of people and something happened. There was an event that was happening that was going to be devastating, but we were all in a safe place. So instead of being real concerned about what was going on, we didn't really care. I mean, you know, nothing could touch us. So that's what I feel like in my life. I'm in a safe place and nothing can touch me. But anyway, I woke up like, boy, that's amazing how good I feel. Huh. I'll have to think about that and think about what's the difference, you know, in that. This week has been an early week. So maybe just starting my day, for the first 4 hours with nobody here, I get a lot accomplished. And that may be good on my head. Um, the inflammation may be down. I don't know. That if it is, that's good on my head too. Maybe allergens. I'm just like taking shots in the dark. If I knew if it was something I was doing, I would continue it. But anyway, I'll get on with my day and I'll blab at you later. Bye. Morning. I know it's the second video, but I was thinking about an event while I was cleaning this stuff that I heard. It was just a YouTube story, and you kind of wonder about most of that stuff. You all take it with a grain of salt, but it was the title was like I met my own ghost or something like that. I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. Let me check this out. So it was this guy, real Scottish accent, talked a little bit fast, so it was kind of hard to listen to him when you combine the two. But he said this old lady was at an event, and they were kind of mingling, and heard a couple talking about a haunting that they had, and they had to leave their house. They just couldn't take it anymore, and she was listening to that, and she came up to him later and said, well, I've lived here like decades. Where's this place at? And she told him what the cottage was, and she goes, well, that's interesting. That's I've lived there, and I never noticed it being anything. And they told the story, said, yeah, every night we see this woman, and she's weeping uncontrollably, just tears, just crying, and beating her head against the wall until blood would run down the wall. And then she would leave, and it just got so unnerving we couldn't stay there. Well, the old lady said she didn't say anything at that time and just left, but she knew what it was. And she said in the 40s, her husband was was in the military, kind of like intelligence officer, I think is what she said, and called home and said, hey, you need to look in such and such a place and get me something I need. And when she did, she found letters from another woman where it was apparent that he had been unfaithful. And she said she wept bitterly and beat her head against the wall until she bled. I'm thinking, man, that's crazy. So I wasn't really a ghost, but with those emotions, she set an event into that place that stayed there. So the more I thought about that, the more I'm thinking, well, I believe there's power in emotions, and that's kind of a wild story. But what if you could just really do that, but just do it in the opposite direction? Like you become so overwhelmingly grateful for something that you set that emotion right in that place where you have it. And then when somebody comes into it later, they say, we bought this house and this is it's the weirdest experience we ever had, but every night we get this feeling. It just lights up with the most beautiful, wonderful feeling. It wouldn't be a haunting because that kind of makes you feel like it's oppressed. There'd be another name for it, but you would just infuse it with such a wonderful atmosphere that instead of projecting something that was like that woman did with beating her head against the wall, was something that was beautiful, just in breathtaking. Kind of lacking words sometimes to describe what I'm talking about, but that was a crazy story. Yeah, they may even see like a guy dancing around holding a cup of coffee saying, oh, this coffee is just so good. I'm so grateful for it. But I'm not going to beat my head against the wall for it. And then I've just vanished. Yeah, that's groovy, baby. That's groovy. Good morning. I'm here. I'm going to do a little video and tell you about my day yesterday. Last week was a pretty good week, really. And then yesterday, for the most part, was pretty good. But I have triggers that kind of make the symptoms of Tourette's worse, or even if they're gone, they'll start. Now, if I'm having a real good time like I have last week and yesterday, then when the trigger ends, the tick ends. But along with that trigger, the tick is a real strong, just an emotion I don't like. I mean, it's just kind of a angry feeling. For the most part, I can just totally ignore it because there's nothing poking me. I can, if I'm having a ticky day, I can joke about it. I'll still have that underlying about it, but there's nothing to project it at. So I'm, it's like I'm good. I've got that under control. But in this case, what got it going yesterday was a guy in a corner here that plays the radio. And I know it's something as simple as a radio. It shouldn't bother me. But as soon as that radio comes on, it's just like flipping a light switch. And I get so ticky that it's unbelievable. But when I'm having a good day, I can walk away from it and then I'm totally fine. So it's like I'll go back to my spot where I actually clean and then I have to listen to it. There's not really much anything that anybody can do about it, or at least that's what they say. So it's just up to me to move, and that don't seem fair to me. But I'm wondering, because I researched a lot of triggers, and most, if not every one of them, said avoiding triggers is not the answer. It just reinforces the trigger. But that said, none of the situations were a situation where the trigger caused Tourette's tics. So I'm wondering if avoiding that in that case would be the thing, or if it would not be the thing. I really don't know how to handle it. So I'm going to throw this video out, and I'm going to tag my sister in it, because she's got her master's in counseling, has her own practice. So maybe she can give me advice if avoidance is acceptable in this situation or not. But anyway, I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. I'm here at work a little early, so I'm going to blab at you and kind of continue what me and Faith were doing yesterday. But I had a really good morning this morning, just kind of started early like I always do, drinking coffee, practicing conscious gratitude. And I've added conscious in there because I've just got so used to gratitude that sometimes it's like an unconscious thing that happens. And I like to practice conscious gratitude, just kind of like living in the moment of that, whatever it is I'm grateful for. And that seems to make things better. But I'm going to we talked about triggers yesterday and how to prevent them. And Faith gave some really good advice. What was kind of cool, because I've got so much on my mind, I hope I don't go off in too many directions. But I was studying that a little bit because I had an event here that I just didn't like the way it felt. And so I got on there, and the first video I watched on the YouTube said a lot about what they said. But what was kind of crazy is she started it with Derek, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, wait a minute, now I'm hallucinating. So I stopped the video and rewound it from the beginning, and that's what she said. So I have to assume that by coincidence, someone probably named Derek commented on a previous video and said, hey, Dr. So-and-so, will you talk about triggers? I'm having some problems. So she recorded that one for somebody named Derek, and I happened to research it, being a Derek, and that's what I get. I mean, my first experience. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. That's quite a coincidence. Well, without sounding like a kook, I don't quite believe in coincidence. So I just think that was the universe winking at me. So I listened to that and listened to Faith. Faith said a lot of the same stuff, but her video was better. But I might be prejudiced because I got a genius sister. But it was better quality. And I do most of that stuff already, if not almost all of it. Before I go to bed, I'll do the breathing and different things to kind of get me ready. The only thing I don't do is try to associate the trigger event with that. Now, I have aphantasia, which may or may not be a hindering factor because, when she said kind of put that trigger event in there to associate that pathway. Well, aphantasia is having a blind mind's eye. So I picture trying to see something or whatever. And it's not that I'm totally blind like mind's eye, but I can't picture anything. If somebody says, picture an apple in your hand, I can't do it. I don't know what they're talking about. I didn't think anybody did, but I come to find out most people can do that. So I'm like, okay, I don't know if that's a hindering factor or not. I can picture feelings, like I've listened to meditation videos, and they'll say, okay, you're walking through a forest and now you're down through walking by a stream. And it's always frustrating to me because I can't go there in my mind, but my other senses work pretty good. So it's like, okay, I'll pretend like I'm blindfolded and I'll feel the breeze of the forest and feel the cool of the water. And that works for me pretty good because all those others are pretty sensitive. And it's not that I don't see at all. If I close my eyes, and I made a video a year or so back of what I see when I close my eyes, I can see some stuff and enjoy watching for lack of a better word, the visions unfold. I just have no control over them. I can't put anything in there. I'm just an observer. So I'm thinking, how's that going to work? And then I started thinking maybe what's happening, I mean, it's definitely sort of a trigger, but maybe there's more to it than that. And I'll explain it so she can maybe see kind of where I'm coming from. I'm watching a science video on brains, and they'll say there's a couple of different ways that people, in this particular one, it was concentration. And it was a university, so most of them used the story like concentrating for an exam. Saying you've got the group of people that can concentrate with the TV on, with the radio going, with things blasting. They can focus everything out and concentrate on their studies, and it doesn't bother them whatsoever. Then you've got another one, we'll call it brain 2 here, that has to have dead silence to do that. They can't focus anything out. Everything, no matter how far away it is, how soft it is, how loud it is, it all enters at the same level, and they can't function. I'm definitely number 2. And it seems like with the Tourette's, it's gotten kind of worse. I mean, I need dead silence. And I was always like that, even as a kid. I didn't, like when I started driving, very seldom, unless I'm on a long trip, did I ever listen to the radio. So can you make a number 1 brain into a number 2 brain? If you're going to put numbers to them, like rewiring them, I'm not for sure. I'm not sure if that's even healthy. So what I'm saying is removing yourself from that situation a better option, or does it make it worse? That's sort of more what I'm going for than the trigger itself. I'll have to think about it and see if it's understanding. I've went way longer than I normally do trying to explain that. The Tourette's itself is not genetic. I've said that before, so most people probably know it's due to an infection that's gone to the brain that's caused inflammation. And when the inflammation is high, I malfunction, and it comes out in Tourette's like symptoms. When it's low, I'm like, now I feel really good in the last week or so. And it could be just the allergens are down, the weather's gotten colder, I don't have as much stuff irritating me, so my brain's not swelling. Now, if those triggers cause additional swelling on top of the inflammation that I typically have anyway, then it's sort of a double whammy. So I'll try to figure that out, and maybe if I can't, like if I do the breathing and can't associate that with the tics, and I'm good with the triggers, and I'm good with the other senses, if something comes up that makes me kind of feel funny, I can associate the feeling, like hold on to the feeling I get when I do the breathing, because I can definitely hold on to that and in that way associate it with the trigger. But the other thing might not be a trigger. So in that case, well, there you have it. But I'll blab at you later. Oh, I redone Danny Boy, so give it a listen. I did a little different, so I done that in the descriptions on what I was doing. I was going for a better sound quality. So I redid the same song, but I liked the song. I thought it was groovy. But hey, y'all have a good day. Bye. Good morning. Just doing a little video actually before I leave the house. I'm going in early today to take care of some concentrators that we kind of need to open up, and I want to get a few done before anybody gets there. But I just watched an interesting SciShow on inner speech, and found out that there's actually small percentage, but there's some people that don't have an inner speech, which I find that amazing, because my inner speech is going like all the time, which that's supposedly a small percentage too. Usually there's like anywhere from 15 to 30% inner speech going on, although they did explain that their current abilities to test that is limited. So it's hard for them to get an accurate kind of information on people's internal speech. I know some cases they say it's a lot of negative talk. Mine's not. So I just wanted to get into what's going on in my brain. When there's silence around, why I crave silence. Pretty much my inner speech consists of most of the stuff that I do the videos about. I'm constantly pondering. If I had to give a percentage, it's probably in the high 80s, or if not 90% of the time. And even going on when there's distractions around, but then there's a little bit of a short circuit. I think that's why things are so tough on me when I can't have that silence that I crave, because it's fighting for attention. But yeah, my inner speech is just pondering the speed of light. Is there a limit? Is there this, that, reality? It's pondering, just thinking about the fact that I'm thinking out loud. Now I'm thinking about, wow, there's people that don't have an inner speech. How do they read? I mean, that's crazy, man. Anyway, I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. Just taking a break here. I've been working on these concentrators for about 3.5 hours. It's like Invacare Perfectos. And those suckers are hard to get open. Some of them are just brutal. I figured that'd be easy task, and I've got, I don't know, a dozen of them or so. I was just changing the bacteria filter on and figured I'd be further along than what I am, but I ain't. So I just keep on plugging away. But I had to take a break because the last one was so ornery. It was crazy. The top part of the inside, one-sided, broke the bolt. So when you're pulling off the shell, the whole thing just wants to cock, and it gets all wedged in there sideways. I'm reaching my hand down in it, trying to get it undone, feeling like I'm delivering a breech baby. And I swear, I lost 10 years of enlightenment just doing that one concentrator. Oh, but I was thinking the other day, though, when I went down to breakfast and I was going down Franklin Street, and there's a little overpass with a walkway that's covered, and a couple were walking down that overpass, and I just happened to view them, and I'm thinking, man, perspective is a great thing. There's two perspectives walking across that overpass. Have nothing to do with me. If I was gone, they may never know I exist. I mean, as strange as coincidences are, I may end up sitting across from one at Denny's and hear him talking, and one thing leads to another, and I find out who that is. But more than likely, that won't happen. And I think, man, perspective is beautiful. There's like 8 billion perspectives on this planet, and a narcissist might think his perspective is it. That's it. But I like being the observer. I don't like thinking that my perspective is the only one. That's a beautiful thing. Anyway, I'm going to keep pondering that, and I'm not going to let an ornery concentrator ruin my day. It ain't going to do it. I'll keep going. But anyway, I'll blab at you later. Bye. All right. I kind of felt myself kind of sliding. I've had a good few weeks, so I took my sister's advice, and I hyperventilated till I passed out, and then I had a DMT trip, and I think I saw God, and then the window of opportunity widened, and I took the shot. I'm gonna have to watch that again. Good morning. Just got here. I've been here a little bit and got some stuff cleaned, but I figured I'd make a video. Feel pretty good. I sang a song before work this morning. Oh, what a wonderful world. And I was thinking, it really is. Sometimes people kind of make it a little bit cruddy, but in general, it is a beautiful place. And then I kind of hit a concept that I've been doing, and this has been like maybe a month or so back when it's kind of hit me. And you know, those people that take their part in the stage of life in this play way too serious, and if you're involved in the play yourself and you're kind of doing, it might get on your nerves. You think, well, who do they think they are? But then if you're a spectator and you stand back and you're looking and you're seeing the kindergarten play go on, and you're seeing a little boy up there playing a doctor, and he's really taking it serious. I mean, he's just going overboard. You'll stand up and applaud for him, like, well, look at that. Ain't that cute? Look how that buddy's playing that part. And I started doing that with over-the-top personalities that when you're around them, you want to say, excuse me, am I allowed to disagree with you? Is that a possibility? And you look up like that, like, wow, look how they're taking their part. Look how that fella's playing president. Oh, ain't that cute? Wow. And it just changes the whole thing. It becomes from a funny little anecdote to me, it almost hit like an emotional thing, like a transformation. But man, life is groovy. But anyway, if you want to hear my song, Go to the Wall. I pinned Danny Boy for this. It'll be the first one, but it's the last one I did, and I really like it. So if you haven't heard the last version, which is a little bit better, check it out. I mean, it's groovy, man. But anyway, I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. I want to blab at you a little bit. I usually do it at work, but I have had such a good morning that I figured I'd go ahead and do it here because I've got the day off. It's Sunday. Been watching some videos and so blessed by people's creation. And I find myself getting so grateful for the ability just to watch somebody else create, let alone me. Watched a fella facet a gigantic gemstone, and I almost cried while I was watching that. And I thought, Lord, that is absolutely beautiful, and applauded him at times. Just, you know, yeah, bravo. And I'm glad that I can go through life with that kind of gratitude for everything around me, even for what other people do. And it's a beautiful thing. And I did have something like an event yesterday that I just wanted to share because I like to create and I like to sing. I know I'm not all that good at times, but hopefully I'm getting better and working on tone and trying to sing on key. But there's a song that I've always loved since I was a kid. I remember when it first came out, and I think maybe I was in the military when that album came out. It was probably like in 87-ish, I don't know. But it was called Kissing a Fool. Beautiful song. Ended, strange that I was wrong enough to think you'd love me too. You must have been kissing a fool. And I thought, man, that is one groovy song. Absolutely beautiful. A little bit of a jazz kind of feel to it. And I sang it when I was a kid. Not very good. It's too hard for me. And I tried it yesterday, and it was the same thing. I just cannot sing that song. And after I was done and worked on it for a few hours, made a video, listened to it, I'm like, that's just not right. I felt like almost defeated, I guess. But I'm not like that for very long till I've got such a strong feeling of comfort that just surrounds me. It's like just tapping into another dimension of something that just watches over me. And it doesn't chastise me. It doesn't say, oh, you shouldn't feel like that. You shouldn't do that. It is just a feeling of overwhelming comfort. And if there's any words or communication involved, it's simple and probably no more than, I love you. But anyway, enjoy your day, and I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. Been here a couple hours, just kind of cleaning. And this is a week I come in early, and I'll be off Friday. But by then I'll already have 40 hours in anyway. But I was thinking about something that I watched on Vincent van Gogh, and he made the comment that he creates for future generations. Or at the time, he was considered a failed artist. I mean, he'd done a lot of stuff, but he didn't really sell much of anything. And I kind of, that resonated because that's the way I feel sometimes. I create for future generations, and not just art or, some of the shots I take with a camera or some of my music, which I know is not all that good. I'm pitchy but I hope to get better. But even thoughts that I have that are mine that probably doesn't resonate with anybody now, but it may at some point. So I just keep going and keep putting YouTube videos out that get 0 views, if not a few single digits here and there. My dad asked one time why I choose to sing such hard songs. I guess he was listening to something I was doing, and it really wasn't very good. But at the time, I'm thinking, I don't really categorize it as a hard song. I categorize it as a very pretty song, and I want to do pretty stuff. Even if my talent is not up to the beauty of the song itself, it's just I categorize it as something different. So that's kind of where my heart is. But anyway, kind of a mellow day, but sometimes those are okay. It just gives you a time to reflect, and sometimes on the more mellow days, my brain doesn't run as fast as it does normally, so that's a relief in itself. But I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. Here at work really early. It's my early week, so I figured I'd blab at you for a little bit before I clocked in, but I was watching a few videos, and hopefully I can relate what's on my mind, because just thinking about it over and over, my mind goes like 14 different directions. But I was watching some thoughts, for lack of a better word, and I don't do that really to like find a new belief or even change my belief, more like just to kickstart something, the thought process. So I'll hear something that I'm going to think about and, ponder if that seems realistic or if there's a flaw somewhere from my reasoning. And I understand it's just from my reasoning, whether I just decide that there's a flaw in a certain thought or point. But what I've been hearing is so weird is trying to convince you that you're not you, that, separating what you are from the personality, you're not your thoughts and all this stuff. I'm like, I'm not buying that. I'm sorry, the individual is beautiful. Anytime I've kind of got to know somebody, I can find something fascinating about the individual. But groups are kooky, man, and that's across the board. I think in some ways, for example, I've watched some deals where these kids kind of remember past lives and stuff, and I'm thinking, okay, there's probably something to that. I mean, there's a lot of evidence there. But then when a religion incorporates that into their religious beliefs and tries to explain it, their explanations are plumb goofy. Just sorry, but it's weird. So yeah, the individual is beautiful, but to say, here, I'm going to solve your suffering. Your suffering doesn't exist because you don't exist. How can you suffer if you, it's like, okay, you're using like some kind of psychological warfare on it, which I'm kind of fine, I guess, if the placebo effect works, and find a way to do it. I guess there's something to that, like that, but yeah, you exist. You're listening to me. And you're beautiful as an individual, and you're experiencing some awesome moments. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that because I can feel myself just going in every direction. This hasn't been a real good week so far, but it's going to get better. Bye. Good morning. Doing pretty good this morning. I'll start here, and I still got about 20 minutes before I clock in. I'm just pondering life, and the way I'm feeling at the moment is like life is really too short to not take care of your mental health. And if avoidance or walking away from a situation and seeking peace is beneficial to that, I think that's probably the best solution. So I'm going to take care of myself. I'll walk into a little dark area here, but then I'll come into the light. Sometimes we do that in life. We'll go through a little dark area, and then we'll walk into the light, and then things will be a little bit better. Talked to an old friend I hadn't seen in a while, and so he said he was kind of walking in the desert for a while, but he's doing pretty good now. And I can dig that. I can see where he's coming from. It happens. I won't say to all of us because I hate to put everybody in the same category, kind of like a preacher that preaches to the congregation like they're all, backslidden hypocrites, those cigarette sucking, cocktail drinking reprobates, God's going to kill you type stuff. But anyway, I'm going to keep her pretty short because I'm feeling groovy, baby. And I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. I'm here a little early. Had a long weekend. Felt pretty good. I was going to tell you about a couple of dreams I had last night. Dreamed a lot, and they were really detailed, so there's no way I can kind of get into all of it. But it kind of started out, I'm sleeping in the back of a truck. Now, it was high because Dad was walking down the road, and I saw him coming, and I kind of leaned out a little window there, and he said he's going to get breakfast in this little shop right next to where I parked. But I could sleep if I wanted to, or if not, I could go in there and have breakfast with him. I'm like, well, that's cool. I'll go do that. So I'm going to jump out of the truck and have breakfast with Dad. And then my manager here comes over and says, hey, I've got to go somewhere and I need you to pick me up. And then I start to explain that, I'm going to have breakfast with Dad, but before I even get that out, she's gone. I'm like, I don't even know, was I supposed to follow her? And I'm in this truck, but instead of just jumping in the truck and taking off after her, I saddle up a horse. Now I'm riding a horse. Now for some reason that, dreams, how that goes. So I'm running down there. There's no way I can catch up with her. I've done lost her. And I'm not even for sure. I went through one town looking for her, and I thought, well, maybe it's the next town down the road. And just like dreams, I'm going down roads, through alleys, through people's living rooms. I mean, it's just kind of strange. And right when I think I'm at this second town and I'm going to give up, I'm like, man, this is weird. She comes around the corner and says, now what makes you think that picking me up in a horse was a good idea? And when she gets on the horse, instead of being a saddle, which it was before, it was just a big, lounge chair of some kind. So it was big enough for both of us to sit in sideways. So we get on there, and I pat the horse on the neck because I don't have a precise idea where I am, and I say, "Take us home, boy." And it just takes off going home. I'm assuming that's where I was going. Now the next one, I'm in the biggest tent meeting that I've ever seen. As far as the tent size, I mean, it looked like Roberts Stadium. It was massive. I'm not for sure a tent that big would hold itself up, but it was huge. And I have kind of a dirty shirt on, and for some reason, instead of having, wanting that dirty shirt to be exposed, I just took it off. So I'm standing there with no shirt on, and it was a little awkward, but I'm just there. And to my left was Mom, but she looked my age. She wasn't looking older, And in my dreams, I think I was younger than what I am now. And she had her hand on my stomach, and we were kind of listening to that. And then at some point, I said, I'm going to go back to my truck. So now my truck's there, wherever this was, and I think I've got another shirt in my truck that's not dirty. So I went over there and grabbed, looked in and saw that there was my favorite shirt that I wear sometimes. Now in real life, that shirt's kind of dirty. Most all of mine are because of painting and all the stuff that I do. I just get them stained that just won't come out. But this one was immaculate. I mean, it was just beautiful. And I thought, there is my favorite shirt. I'm going to put that one on. And then I kind of signified of just taking off a dirty garment and putting on a beautiful garment. But anyway, I want to let you go because I've talked longer than I normally do just on these dreams. But I thought that was groovy, man. But I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. Here, going to blab at you a little bit. I was thinking about some stuff. Went in a few different directions, but I tried to stay more practical instead of kind of being negative. I went home yesterday a little bit due to some unfortunate event from somebody extremely lazy. Now, Derek, you shouldn't go there. Fine. I wasn't going to do that. Instead, I'm thinking about practicality, what you can do in a practical sense to make things a little bit better. When you're sad, maybe make you a little more happy. And the thought that occurred to me, and even what I experienced this morning, was a scripture that said, bring every thought into captivity. And then, it also says that we're to whatever's holy, whatever's just, whatever's good report. If there be any virtue, think on these things. And that's got a good practical sense, because when I wake up in the morning, sometimes I don't feel all that hot. And if I think on that, it doesn't help matters. There's nothing that actually benefits from pondering your misery. But if I go instead and start thinking about things that I can be grateful for, like holding the cup of coffee I'm drinking in my hands and feeling the warmth through them and thinking, boy, that really feels good. Or do something like, I snapped a moonshot today, and I usually do about four or five of them so I can kind of compare them. And my attention then is on the detail of maybe a specific crater when I put two of the pictures side by side, and I say, which one's better than the other one? This one's better of that one. Then I'll switch to and look at another one. And I'll do that, and pretty soon my focus becomes a lot sharper. And then, start becoming grateful for what I can do. And that makes things a lot better. And then when I focus on me, I'll realize, I'm not feeling as bad as I did when I woke up. Matter of fact, I'm feeling pretty good. Now my focus on myself can be more positive. I'm like, wow, I'm feeling good. I'm grateful for it. So there's what you can do to be kind of practical what I exercise. Now, see, now I didn't go on about that piece of beep. Now, Derek, you don't go there. Sorry. Bye. Morning. I know it's my second video and I've been cleaning a little bit, but I've had unconditional love on my mind just because of the challenges that I have to love certain individuals. And I'm thinking, boy, unconditional love is beautiful, but in the same sense, I'm thinking, boy, the unlovable are hard to tolerate. And then I stop myself and think, you know, if unconditional love is beautiful, then the unlovable have to be beautiful as well, because without them, there'd be no unconditional love. If I try to project it to like my daughter and I'll say, you know, I have unconditional love. She can do anything and I'm going to love her. But her love is not challenging to me because she's very lovable. I mean, she's the greatest thing on the planet as far as I'm concerned. So there's no challenge there. The challenge is loving the unlovable, and they have to become as beautiful as unconditional love, because without them, unconditional love would not exist. So I'm going to keep pondering that, and I know I go from feeling good to feeling bad, and I probably should get a proper diagnosis, but sometimes the problem with that is I would exercise my patient rights as to refuse treatment, because, you know, I watched mom and dad both die of the treatment of cancer, and just to know, I don't know if that's any benefit. Maybe to get out and say, hey, pray for this or that or whatever, because you have a proper diagnosis. Everything else would be speculation. You know, so I don't really do that. I just keep going and focus on good things that make me feel better. And if there's a miracle involved somewhere, and even if I'm unaware of it, I will be someday. But anyway, I'll blab at you later. Bye. Good morning. I know it's the third video, but I've been doing a lot of thinking about this, especially when I get irritated and then post that. But I wanted to post something about my colleagues that actually is groovy, man. Because there's 4 people here that show me more compassion than anybody else, and that's Kevin, Tezzy, Dee, and Tom. And the rest are, I'm just a spectacle. But even those that view me as just a spectacle has their place, because they accent the love that I feel for the ones that show me compassion and work hard at making things easier on my brain. And I really appreciate that. So if they see this, I love you, man. I appreciate it. Now back to it. Good morning. Wait, good afternoon. Hey, this is video 4. Is that crazy? But anyway, from the first video this morning getting up to this one, it feels the difference of night and day. So they really do help me, whether they help anybody or not. But I'm just ending it here for what I put on YouTube. So I'll put all of the last few together and put it into a longer run. I have thoughts from me to you, 1 and 2, and this one will be 3, and then I'll post a link. But you guys have a great day. Bye.